Ethan Blake never imagined that taking his daughter to the doctor in the middle of the night would lead him to meet the woman who would change his life forever. Victoria Hale, a powerful CEO, a woman he only knew through cold emails and tense meetings, was standing there in the emergency room alone, with an emptiness in her eyes he'd never seen in the office. It wasn't a sweet encounter. It was a collision between two worlds never meant to touch. And when Ava took Victoria's hand with an innocent smile, things began to crumble in ways neither of them were prepared for. Follow my story to the end, like, and comment the city you're viewing so I know how far this story has come. Now, let's begin. The bookstore smelled like old paper and rain. Ethan Blake stood behind the counter, staring at a spreadsheet that made less sense every time he looked at it. Numbers didn't lie, but they also didn't care. The rent was due in 6 days. He had maybe half of it. The rest would have to come from somewhere, anywhere, or he'd be explaining to Ava why they had to close the one place that still felt like home. He rubbed his eyes and glanced at the clock. 6:47 p.m. Ava's ballet class ended at 7. He had 13 minutes to lock up, walk 4 blocks, and pretend everything was fine. "Daddy!" The door swung open before he could move. Ava burst in, pink leotard half hidden under her jacket, hair still pinned in a lopsided bun. She was grinning, breathless, holding a drawing she'd done on the back of a permission slip. "Look, I made you." Ethan took the paper. It was him, stick figure style, standing next to a tower of books that reached the top of the page. Above his head, she'd drawn a crooked yellow crown. "King of Books," she announced proudly. He smiled despite everything. "That's me. Miss Reyna said you should frame it." "Miss Reyna's right." Ava hopped onto the stool beside him, swinging her legs. "Can we get pizza?" "We had pizza yesterday." "But it's Tuesday." "That's not a reason." "It's my reason." He laughed, a short, tired sound. "We'll see." She leaned into him, small and warm and completely unaware of how much weight he carried every single day. That was the point. She didn't need to know, not yet, maybe not ever, if he could help it. "Go grab your bag," he said. "We'll stop by the deli." "Can I get chips?" "1 bag." "2?" "Ava." "Fine. 1. But the big kind." She hopped down and disappeared into the back room, where her school things lived in a corner next to unsold poetry collections and a box of bookmarks he'd ordered by mistake. Ethan folded the drawing carefully and slipped it into his jacket pocket. He'd add it to the others later, the ones taped to the wall above his desk at home. The door chimed again. He looked up expecting a regular, Mrs. Pappas maybe, or Joel from the coffee shop next door. Instead, it was her. Victoria Hale. She stood just inside the doorway, perfectly still, like she wasn't sure she belonged there. She was dressed the way she always was. Sharp black coat, heels that made no sound, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Her expression gave nothing away. It never did. Ethan froze. "Mr. Blake?" Her voice was calm, controlled, the same tone she used in meetings when someone had screwed up and didn't know it yet. "Ms. Hale," he cleared his throat. "I didn't expect to see you here. I was nearby." That wasn't an explanation, but he didn't push. "You didn't push Victoria Hale. You answered her questions, met her deadlines, and stayed out of her way. That was the deal. He'd been doing it for 3 years. She glanced around the store, taking it in with the same clinical focus she used to dissect quarterly reports. He wondered what she saw. Probably the chipped paint, the wobbly shelves, the handwritten price tags because the label maker had died 2 months ago, and he couldn't afford a new one. "This is yours?" "Yeah." "You didn't mention it." "Didn't seem relevant." She looked at him then, just for a second, and he caught something in her eyes he didn't recognize. Curiosity, maybe. Or surprise. It was gone before he could be sure. "It's quaint." He almost laughed. "That's one word for it." Ava came running back, backpack bouncing against her shoulders. She stopped short when she saw Victoria, her mouth forming a small O. "Whoa!" Victoria blinked. Ethan stepped forward. "Ava, this is Ms. Hale. She's, your boss," Victoria finished. She crouched down, smooth and deliberate, until she was at Ava's eye level. "Hello?" Ava stared. You're really tall. I'm wearing heels. They're shiny. They're expensive. Ava grinned. I like your coat. Thank you. Do you work with my dad? I do. Is he good at his job? Victoria's lips twitched. It wasn't quite a smile, but it was close. He's adequate. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Ava, go wait by the door. But, now please. She huffed but obeyed, dragging her feet the whole way. Ethan turned back to Victoria, who had risen to her full height again, unreadable as ever. I'm sorry, he said. She's 8. I noticed. She doesn't have a filter. Most children don't. There was a pause. Outside, a car honked. Someone shouted something unintelligible. The city kept moving, indifferent. Was there something you needed? Ethan asked. Victoria hesitated. It was brief, barely a flicker, but he saw it. No, she said finally. I was just passing through. Okay. She nodded once, then turned toward the door. Ava stepped aside to let her pass, watching her with wide, curious eyes. Bye, Miss Hale. Victoria paused. Goodbye, Ava. And then she was gone. Ethan stood there for a moment, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Victoria Hale didn't do spontaneous. She didn't wander. Everything she did had a purpose, a plan, a reason. So why had she come here? She's pretty, Ava said. Yeah, but she seems sad. He looked at his daughter. What makes you say that? Ava shrugged. I don't know. She just does. The emergency room was too bright. Ethan hated hospitals, hated the smell, the sound, the way time moved differently inside them, too fast and too slow all at once. But Ava had woken up at midnight with a fever that wouldn't break, and he wasn't taking chances. She was asleep now, curled up on his lap in one of the plastic chairs near the vending machines. He'd been holding her for an hour. His arms ached. He didn't care. A nurse had taken her vitals 20 minutes ago and said someone would be with them soon. That was hospital code for maybe never, but he wasn't going to make a scene. Not with Ava this close to him, small and hot and breathing too fast. He adjusted his grip, brushing a strand of damp hair from her forehead. It's okay, sweetheart, he whispered. We're okay. The automatic doors slid open. He barely glanced up until he saw who it was. Victoria Hale walked in like she owned the place, which, knowing her, she probably could if she wanted to. She didn't see him at first. She was focused on the reception desk, her phone pressed to her ear, her expression carved from stone. I don't care what time it is, she said into the phone. Get him on the line, now. She hung up, took a breath, looked around, and saw him. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then she crossed the room. Mr. Blake? Ms. Hale. She looked at Ava, still asleep, then back at him. Is she all right? Fever. They're running tests. How long have you been waiting? Hour and a half. Her jaw tightened. Unacceptable. It's fine. It's not. She turned on her heel and walked straight to the desk. Ethan watched, too tired to stop her as she spoke to the nurse in a low, clipped voice. He couldn't hear the words, but he saw the nurse's face change. 30 seconds later, Victoria returned. They'll see her in 10 minutes. You didn't have to do that. I did. He wanted to argue, but Ava shifted in his arms, mumbling something he couldn't make out. He kissed her forehead instead. Victoria sat down in the chair beside him. She didn't say anything, just sat there, hands folded in her lap, staring at the far wall. What are you doing here? He asked quietly. Migraine, she said. They're running an IV. At midnight? I don't sleep much. That's not healthy. She glanced at him, one eyebrow raised. Noted. Silence settled between them, thick and strange. Ava stirred again, and Ethan shifted her weight, wincing as his shoulder protested. How long have you been doing this alone? Victoria asked. He didn't answer right away. 3 years? Her mother? Gone. I'm sorry. Don't be. We're fine. She didn't respond, but he felt her eyes on him, studying him the way she studied everything, looking for cracks, weaknesses, things that didn't add up. You're a good father, she said finally. He blinked. Thanks. I mean it. I know. Another pause. She was right, Victoria said. About what? Your coat. It is nice. He almost laughed. It's from Target. Still nice. Ava woke up just as the nurse called her name. Ethan stood, cradling her carefully, and started toward the exam room. He glanced back once. Victoria was still sitting there, watching them go. Thank you, he said. She nodded. He didn't see her again that night, but when he got home at 3 in the morning, there was an email waiting for him. Subject: tomorrow. Mr. Blake, take the day off, paid, non-negotiable. VH. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then he closed his laptop and carried Ava to bed. The office was different after that. Not in any obvious way. Victoria didn't change her routine. She still arrived at 7, left at 8, and ran meetings with the precision of a Swiss watch. But Ethan noticed things now. The way she paused when she passed his desk. The way she asked how Ava was doing, casual and offhand, like it didn't matter. It mattered. She's good, he said one afternoon, looking up from his monitor. Back to her normal self. Good. Victoria didn't move. She stood there, one hand resting on the edge of his cubicle, looking at him like she wanted to say something else. Was there something you needed? He asked. No. Okay. She left. 2 days later, she stopped by again. There's a cafe, she said, 2 blocks west. They have decent coffee. Okay. I'll be there at noon. All right? If you're free. He looked up. She was watching him, her face unreadable, but her fingers were tapping against her leg, a tiny, nervous rhythm he'd never seen before. I'm free, he said. Good. She walked away before he could say anything else. At 11:58, he grabbed his jacket and headed out. The cafe was small, tucked between a dry cleaner and a pharmacy. It smelled like cinnamon and burnt sugar. Victoria was already there, sitting at a corner table with a black coffee and an untouched scone. She looked up when he walked in. You came. You invited me. I wasn't sure you would. He sat down across from her. Why wouldn't I? She didn't answer. Instead, she slid the scone toward him. I don't eat these, she said. Then why'd you order it? I don't know. He took a bite. It was dry, but he didn't say so. How's the bookstore? She asked. Hanging on. Barely? Yeah. Why don't you sell it? Because it's mine. She studied him. That's not a business reason. I know. Then why? He set the scone down. Because Ava loves it. Because it's the one thing I built that's just ours. Because some things aren't about money. Victoria was quiet for a moment. I wouldn't know, she said. About what? Things that aren't about money. He didn't know what to say to that. I've been running Hale Industries since I was 26, she continued. I took over when my father died. Everyone said I'd fail. I didn't. I worked 80-hour weeks. I cut dead weight. I made the hard calls. And now I have more money than I know what to do with and a calendar that's full every day for the next 6 months. Sounds exhausting. It is. So why do it? She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, he saw something raw in her eyes. Because I don't know how to stop. The words hung in the air. Ethan leaned back. You ever take a day off? Not in 8 years? That's insane. That's success. No, he said. That's survival. She didn't argue. They sat there in silence, the cafe humming around them. Someone dropped a mug. A baby cried. The espresso machine hissed. I don't know why I'm telling you this, Victoria said quietly. Maybe because you don't have anyone else to tell. She looked away. Maybe. He finished the scone. She finished her coffee. Neither of them moved to leave. Ava asked about you, he said. Victoria blinked. She did? Yeah. Wanted to know if you were coming back to the bookstore. What did you tell her? That I didn't know. And what did she say? That you should, because you looked lonely. Victoria's face didn't change, but her fingers tightened around the empty cup. She's perceptive, Ethan added. She's 8. Doesn't make her wrong. Victoria stood abruptly. I should get back. Yeah, me too. She picked up her coat, then hesitated. Same time next week? She asked. He smiled. Yeah, same time. She nodded and walked out, leaving him alone with a half-empty coffee and a strange, unfamiliar warmth in his chest. It became a routine. Every Thursday at noon they met at the cafe. Sometimes they talked about work. Sometimes they didn't talk at all. Victoria brought her laptop once and answered emails while he read a book he'd been trying to finish for 3 months. It should have been awkward. It wasn't. Ava started asking questions. "Is Ms. Hale your friend?" "I guess so." "Does she have kids?" "No." "Why not?" "I don't know, Ava." "You should ask her." "I'm not going to ask her that." "Why?" "Because it's rude." "But I want to know." "Too bad." She pouted, but let it go. One Thursday, Victoria didn't show up. Ethan waited for 20 minutes, then texted her. "Everything okay?" No response. He went back to the office. Her door was closed. Her assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Diane, gave him a look that said, "Don't even think about it." He thought about it anyway. At 6 p.m., he knocked. "Come in." Victoria was sitting at her desk, surrounded by papers, her face pale and drawn. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "You missed lunch," he said. "I know. You could have texted." "I was busy." "You're always busy." She looked up and he saw the exhaustion in her eyes, deep, bone-tired exhaustion that no amount of coffee could fix. "What do you want, Ethan?" It was the first time she'd used his first name. "I want you to go home," he said. "I can't." "Why not?" "Because if I stop, everything falls apart." "No, it doesn't." "You don't know that." "I do. Because I've been there." She stared at him. "When Ava's mom left," he continued, "I thought I had to do everything, be everything. Work, parent, keep the house clean, make sure she had everything she needed. I didn't sleep. I barely ate. And one day I woke up and realized I was so exhausted I couldn't remember the last time I'd actually laughed with her. Really laughed. Not fake it till you make it laughed. And I thought, what's the point? What am I doing this for if I'm too tired to actually be present?" Victoria's hands had stilled. "So I started saying no," Ethan said, "to extra shifts, to things that didn't matter, to people who wanted more than I could give. And you know what happened?" "What?" "Nothing fell apart. I did." She blinked. "And that's when I started putting myself back together," he said. "The right way. Not perfect, just better." Victoria looked down at her desk, at the papers spread across it like battle plans. "I don't know how to do that," she said quietly. "Then let someone help you." "Who?" "Me." She looked up, surprised. "I'm not saying quit," he added quickly. "I'm saying take a breath. One night. That's it. Just one night where you're not this." He gestured at the office, the desk, the walls. "Where you're just Victoria." "I don't know who that is." "Then let's find out." She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly, she closed her laptop. "Okay?" "Okay?" "One night." He smiled. "One night." Debt. They went to the bookstore. Ethan hadn't planned it, but when Victoria asked where they should go, it was the first place that came to mind. She followed him in her own car, and when she stepped inside, she looked around like she was seeing it for the first time. "It's different at night," she said. "Yeah." He flipped on the lights. The store glowed warm and soft, every shelf casting long shadows across the floor. It smelled the way it always did, paper and dust and something faintly sweet he'd never been able to identify. "Sit," he said, pointing to the armchair by the window. "Where are you going?" "To make tea." "You have a kitchen here?" "I have a hot plate and a kettle, close enough." She sat, watching him as he disappeared into the back. When he returned, he handed her a chipped mug with a faded logo on the side. "What is this?" "Chamomile." "I don't drink tea." "You do tonight." She took a sip, made a face. "It's not that bad," he said. "It tastes like grass." "It's supposed to be calming." "It's not working." He laughed and settled into the chair across from her. For a while, they just sat there, the silence comfortable and easy. "Do you ever get lonely?" Victoria asked suddenly. He looked at her. "Sometimes." "How do you deal with it?" I don't, really. I just keep moving. If I stop too long, it catches up. And when it does, I call my sister, or I take Ava to the park, or I come here and reorganize the mystery section for the third time this month. Victoria smiled. A real smile. Small and fleeting, but genuine. What about you? He asked. I work. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He didn't push. She set her mug down on the side table and looked around the store again, her gaze lingering on the children's section in the corner. Ava must love it here. She does. She's got a whole fort built behind the picture books. I'm not allowed to touch it. Smart girl. She is. Victoria stood and walked over to the shelf, running her fingers along the spines. She pulled out a book, Where the Wild Things Are, and opened it, flipping through the pages. I haven't read this in years, she said. It's a classic. My mother used to read it to me, before she got sick. Ethan didn't say anything. He just waited. She died when I was 12, Victoria continued. Cancer. My father never really recovered. He threw himself into work, and I guess I did the same. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was a long time ago. She closed the book and put it back on the shelf, but her hand lingered there for a moment. Do you ever wonder what your life would have been like, she asked, if things had gone differently? All the time. And I think I'd probably be miserable. Different, but still miserable, just in new ways. She turned to look at him. You really believe that? Yeah, I think we end up where we're supposed to be, even if the path sucks. That's optimistic. That's survival. She smiled again, and this time it lasted a little longer. They stayed until almost midnight. At some point, Victoria kicked off her heels and tucked her feet under her in the chair. Ethan made more tea. They talked about books, about Ava, about nothing and everything. And when Victoria finally stood to leave, she looked lighter somehow, less burdened. Thank you, she said. For what? For this. For not letting me say no. Any time. She hesitated at the door, then turned back. Ethan? Yeah? I'd like to do this again, if that's okay. More than okay. She nodded, and for the first time since he'd met her, she looked almost happy. After that night, things shifted. Victoria started showing up at the bookstore on Fridays. Not for long, an hour, maybe 2, but she came. Sometimes she brought work. Sometimes she just sat and read. Ava was thrilled. Is Ms. Hale coming today? She'd ask every Friday morning. I don't know, but she usually does. Usually isn't always, but it's Friday. And she was always right. Victoria always came. One Friday, she brought Ava a book. I saw this and thought of you, she said, handing over a hardcover with a dragon on the cover. Ava's eyes went wide. For me? Yes. Can I read it now? If your father says it's okay. Ethan nodded, and Ava disappeared into her fort, clutching the book like treasure. You didn't have to do that, he said. I wanted to. She's going to expect one every week now. Then I'll bring one every week. He studied her. You're different. How? Lighter. Like you're not carrying the whole world anymore. She looked away. Maybe I'm just learning to share the weight. Good. They stood there for a moment, the space between them charged with something neither of them had words for yet. Ethan? Victoria said quietly. Yeah? I think I'm starting to understand. Understand what? Things that aren't about money. He smiled. Yeah? Yeah. And when she left that night, she didn't look back. But Ethan knew she'd be back. Because this, whatever this was, it wasn't finished. It was just beginning. The first Saturday in April, Ava had a school project due on Monday. Ethan found out about it Friday night when she casually mentioned it over dinner. Oh yeah, we have to build a model of a historical building. Any building, as long as it's famous. He set down his fork. When did you get this assignment? 3 weeks ago. Ava. I forgot. How do you forget for 3 weeks? She shrugged, shoveling mac and cheese into her mouth. I was busy. Busy with what? Stuff. He rubbed his face. What building did you pick? The Statue of Liberty. Of course you did. Is that bad? No, it's just complicated. You said I could pick anything. I didn't say that. Your teacher said that. Same thing. It wasn't, but he didn't have the energy to argue. Instead, he pulled up a YouTube tutorial on his phone and started making a list of supplies they'd need. Cardboard, green paint, glue. A miracle. Can Ms. Hale help? Ava asked. She's probably busy. But it's Saturday. She works on Saturdays. That's sad. Yeah, it is. Ava tilted her head, considering. You should ask her anyway. Ava, please? He looked at his daughter, at her wide, hopeful eyes, and felt himself caving. I'll text her, but don't get your hopes up. Okay? She was already back to her mac and cheese, humming something off key. Ethan pulled out his phone and typed out a message before he could overthink it. Ava has a school project due Monday. Statue of Liberty. We're building it tomorrow. If you're free, you're welcome to join. No pressure. He hit send and immediately regretted it. The response came 2 minutes later. What time? He blinked. 10 a.m.? We'll be at my place. I'll bring coffee. Ethan stared at the screen. Then he looked at Ava, who was watching him with a grin that said she'd known all along. She's coming, isn't she? Yeah. I knew it. How? Because she likes you. She likes you. She likes both of us. He didn't argue. The next morning, Victoria showed up at 9:58 with 2 coffees, a bag of croissants, and a briefcase that looked out of place in his tiny apartment. You brought work, he said, opening the door. Force of habit. It's Saturday. I'm aware. Ava came running from her room, already covered in glue, despite the project not having started yet. Ms. Hale, you came! Victoria smiled, a real one, the kind Ethan was starting to see more often. I said I would. Did you bring the coffee? I brought 2. One's for your dad. What about me? You get orange juice. Ava made a face but accepted the juice box Victoria pulled from her bag. They settled at the kitchen table, which Ethan had already covered in newspaper. The supplies were laid out like surgical instruments: cardboard, scissors, paint, a glue gun he'd borrowed from his neighbor. All right, Ethan said, clapping his hands together. Let's do this. It went badly almost immediately. The cardboard wouldn't cut straight. The glue gun burned his finger. Ava insisted the torch had to be exactly right, which apparently meant redoing it 4 times. And Victoria, despite her precision in every other area of life, turned out to be terrible at crafts. This doesn't look like a statue, she said, holding up a lopsided green cylinder. It's abstract, Ethan offered. It's a disaster. Same thing, Ava giggled. By noon, they'd made progress. Barely. The base was done. The body was taking shape. The torch was still a work in progress, but they were getting there. I don't know how people do this, Victoria muttered, trying to attach an arm that kept falling off. With patience, Ethan said. I don't have patience. I've noticed. She shot him a look, but there was no heat in it. Ava, covered head to toe in paint by now, leaned against Victoria's side. You're doing good, Ms. Hale. Well, I'm really not. It's okay. Art is about feelings, not perfection. Who told you that? My art teacher. Your art teacher is wise. They worked in comfortable silence for a while. The only sounds the scrape of scissors and the occasional frustrated sigh from Victoria. At some point, Ava fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from the effort. Ethan covered her with a blanket and returned to the table. She's out, he said. Victoria glanced over. She worked hard. She always does. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. Victoria set down the piece she'd been working on and looked at him. Do you ever regret it, doing this alone? Every day. But you do it anyway. Yeah. Why? Because she deserves better than a dad who gave up. Victoria was quiet for a moment. You know you're doing a good job, right? Most days I'm just hoping I don't screw her up too badly. You won't. You don't know that. I do. The certainty in her voice caught him off guard. He looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something he hadn't expected: belief. Not in some abstract idea of parenthood, but in him. Specifically, him. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For being here. For this. For... He gestured vaguely at the table, the half-finished statue, the mess. All of it. Victoria reached across the table and squeezed his hand. It was brief, barely a second, but it felt like more. "I'm glad I came," she said. They finished the statue around 4. It wasn't perfect. The torch tilted slightly to the left, and the face looked more like a goblin than Lady Liberty. But it was done. Ava woke up, declared it the best statue ever, and insisted they take a picture. Ethan pulled out his phone. "Everyone get in." Victoria hesitated. "I don't really do pictures." "Come on, Ms. Hale." Ava grabbed her hand. "Please?" Victoria looked at Ethan. He shrugged. "One picture," she said. They squeezed together, Ava in the middle holding the statue, Ethan and Victoria on either side. He set the timer and rushed back, barely making it before the flash went off. When he looked at the photo later, he'd see what he didn't notice in the moment: how natural they looked together, how much they looked like a family. That night, after Victoria left and Ava was in bed, Ethan sat alone in the kitchen, staring at the picture on his phone. He didn't know what he was doing, didn't know where this was going, but for the first time in 3 years, he wasn't afraid to find out. The following week, something shifted at the office. People started noticing. It wasn't anything obvious. Victoria was still Victoria, still sharp and demanding and impossible to please, but there were small changes. She smiled more, took longer lunches, left at 7 instead of 9, and she talked to Ethan, not just work talk, real conversations. In the break room by the elevators, in the hallway between meetings. People noticed. People always noticed. "So," Diane said one afternoon, cornering him by the coffee machine, "you and the Ice Queen." Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. "Excuse me?" "That's what people call her. Not me, obviously. I have more respect than that." "Obviously. But you two have been friendly." "We're colleagues. Colleagues don't have lunch together 3 times a week." "We're friends." Diane raised an eyebrow. "Friends? Yes. Ethan, I've worked here for 6 years. Victoria Hale doesn't have friends. She has employees and obstacles. Well, maybe things are changing." "Clearly." She walked away, leaving him standing there with his terrible coffee and the uncomfortable feeling that everyone was watching. He looked around. No one was looking directly at him, but he could feel it, the weight of attention, speculation, gossip brewing. He didn't mention it to Victoria. He didn't know how, but she already knew. "People are talking," she said the next Thursday at the cafe. "About what?" She gave him a look. "Oh. Yes. Oh. Does it bother you?" he asked. "It's never bothered me before." "That's not an answer." She stirred her coffee, not drinking it. "I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "This. Whatever this is. I don't have friends, Ethan. I don't have people. I have work. That's all I've ever had." "That's not true." Name one person I'm close to." He couldn't. "Exactly," she said. "So when people start talking, start speculating, I don't know how to handle it, because I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what we are." The question hung between them. "What do you want us to be?" he asked. She looked at him, and for once her mask slipped completely. He saw fear there, real, raw fear. "I don't know," she said, "but I know I don't want to stop this, whatever it is." "Neither do I." "So what do we do?" "We figure it out, together." She nodded slowly. Together. They left it at that, undefined, uncertain, but honest. The next Friday, Victoria didn't come to the bookstore. Ethan tried not to let it bother him. She was busy. She had a company to run. One missed Friday didn't mean anything, but Ava noticed. "Where's Ms. Hale?" She couldn't make it. Why? "She's working." "She's always working." "That's her job, sweetheart." Ava frowned, kicking her feet against the chair. "I miss her." "I know. Do you think she misses us?" He didn't know how to answer that. His phone buzzed, a text from Victoria. "I'm sorry, board meeting ran late, still going." He typed back, "It's okay, we understand. Tell Ava I'm sorry. I will." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "I miss you both." Ethan stared at the message for a long time, Then he showed it to Ava. She smiled. See? She does miss us. Yeah, he said, she does. But missing someone and being able to show up were different things. And as the weeks went on, Victoria's absences became more frequent. A missed lunch here, a canceled Friday there, always with an apology, always with a reason. Ethan understood. He did. But understanding didn't make it easier. Is Ms. Hale mad at us? Ava asked one night. No, baby. She's just busy. Too busy for us? The question gutted him. I don't know. Ava went quiet. Then in a small voice, I thought she liked us. She does. Then why doesn't she come anymore? He pulled her into his lap, holding her tight. Sometimes grown-ups have a lot on their plates. It doesn't mean they don't care, it just means they're trying to balance everything and sometimes they mess up. Like when you forgot my recital? He winced. Yeah, like that. But you said you were sorry and you didn't do it again. I did. So Ms. Hale will say sorry too? I hope so. She hugged him, her small arms surprisingly strong. I hope so too. That night, after Ava was asleep, Ethan called Victoria. She answered on the third ring. Ethan, hey, is everything okay? Ava asked if you were mad at us. Silence. Victoria? I'm not mad. I know, but she doesn't. She's 8. All she knows is that you used to come around and now you don't. I've been trying, but I know I'm not blaming you. I needed you to know how she feels, how we feel. More silence. I miss you, Victoria said finally. Both of you, so much it scares me. Then why are you pulling away? Because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be what you need. We don't need you to be anything. We just need you to show up. What if I can't? Then you can't. But at least let us know that. Don't just disappear. She was quiet for so long he thought she'd hung up. I'm scared, Ethan. Of what? Of ruining this. Of getting too close and then losing it. I've lost everything I've ever cared about. My mother. My father. In a different way. I built walls because it was safer than caring, and now you and Ava are here, and those walls are crumbling, and I don't know what happens when they're gone. His chest ached. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to try. And if I fail, then you fail, but you'll fail with us, not alone. He heard her breath hitch. I'm coming over, she said. What? I'm coming over. Right now. Victoria, it's almost midnight. The line went dead. 20 minutes later, she was at his door. She looked different. Her hair was down. No coat, just a sweater and jeans he'd never seen her wear. She looked younger. Vulnerable. Hi, she said. Hi. They stood there, neither moving. I'm sorry, she said. For disappearing. For being a coward. You're not. I am. I've been terrified of this, of you, since the day I walked into your bookstore. Because you make me feel things I haven't felt in years. Things I didn't think I was capable of anymore. Like what? Like hope. The word broke something open in him. He stepped aside. Come in. She did. They sat on the couch, not touching, just existing in the same space. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing outside. I don't know how to be part of someone's life, Victoria said. I don't know how to make space for people. My whole world is meetings and deadlines and strategies. There's no room for anything else. So make room. It's not that simple. Why not? Because if I do, if I let myself care, what happens when it falls apart? What happens when you realize I'm not worth the effort? That's not going to happen. You don't know that. No, he admitted. I don't. But I know I'm willing to risk it. The question is, are you? She looked at him, her eyes shining. I want to be. Then be. It's not that easy. It is, actually. You just decide. You decide that this, us, is worth the risk. And then you show up. That's it. That's all we're asking. She wiped her eyes, frustrated with herself. I'm not good at this. Neither am I. But we can figure it out together. You keep saying that. Because it's true. She laughed. A broken, watery sound. You're infuriatingly optimistic. Someone has to be. They sat in silence for a while. Then Victoria leaned her head on his shoulder. It was tentative, uncertain, but he didn't move. He just let her be there. "I'll try," she said quietly. "I'll really try. That's all I'm asking." She stayed for another hour. They didn't talk much. Didn't need to. When she finally left, she paused at the door. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for not giving up on me." "Not a chance." She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. The next Friday, she showed up at the bookstore with a book for Ava and an apology. Ava forgave her instantly. Kids were good at that. Ethan took a little longer, but not much. And slowly, carefully, they started building something new, something fragile and uncertain, but real. It wasn't perfect. Victoria still worked too much. Ethan still worried too much. Ava still asked questions neither of them knew how to answer, but they were trying. And for now, that was enough. One Saturday in late April, Victoria suggested they go to the park. "All of us?" Ava asked, eyes wide. "Yes, if that's okay." "Are you kidding?" "Yes." So they went. The three of them. It was warm, the kind of spring day that felt like a promise. They got ice cream, chocolate for Ava, vanilla for Ethan, nothing for Victoria until Ava insisted she try some. "It's good," Ava said, holding up her cone. Victoria took a small bite. "It's cold." "That's the point." "I see." They walked through the park, Ava running ahead to chase pigeons while Ethan and Victoria trailed behind. He watched her watching Ava, and something in his chest tightened. "What?" Victoria asked, catching him staring. "Nothing." "Liar." He smiled. "Just thinking." "About?" "How different things are now. How different you are." "Is that good or bad?" "Good. Definitely good." She looked at Ava, who was now trying to climb a tree she had no business climbing. "I never thought I'd have this," Victoria said. "Have what?" "This. A Saturday in the park. Ice cream. A child who isn't mine but feels like she could be." Ethan's breath caught. "I know I'm not her mother," Victoria continued. "I know I don't have that right. But when I'm with her, with both of you, I feel like maybe I could be. Like maybe there's space for me in this life you've built." "There is," he said. "There's always been space. You just had to step into it." She looked at him, and he saw tears in her eyes. "I'm stepping." "I know." Ava ran back, breathless and grinning. "Did you see me? I made it to the third branch." "I saw," Ethan said. "Very impressive." "Miss Hale, did you see?" "I did. You're very brave." "Thanks. Can we get more ice cream?" "You just had ice cream." "But I climbed a tree. That burns calories." Victoria laughed, a real full laugh that made Ava beam. "Maybe on the way out," Ethan said. Promise?" "Promise." They stayed until the sun started to set, painting the sky orange and pink. Ava fell asleep in the car on the way home, her head lolling against the window. Ethan carried her inside while Victoria waited by the car. "Thank you for today," she said when he came back down. "You don't have to thank me." "I do. Because this, what we did today, it's the best day I've had in years." He stepped closer. "Then we should do it again." "I'd like that." They stood there, the space between them charged with something unspoken. He wanted to kiss her, wanted to close the distance and see what happened, but he didn't. Not yet. "Good night, Victoria." "Good night, Ethan." She drove away, and he stood there long after her taillights disappeared, wondering what came next. What came next arrived faster than either of them expected. It started with a phone call on a Tuesday morning. Ethan was restocking the mystery section when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Hello?" "Mr. Blake, this is Jennifer Chen from Riverside Elementary." His stomach dropped. "Is Ava okay?" "She's fine, but there was an incident at school today. We need you to come pick her up." "What kind of incident?" "I'd rather discuss it in person." He was out the door in 30 seconds. When he arrived at the school, Ava was sitting in the principal's office looking small and defiant. Her knuckles were red. There was a tear in her shirt. "What happened?" he asked, kneeling in front of her. She didn't answer, just crossed her arms and looked away. Principal Chen cleared her throat. Ava got into a fight with another student. She threw the first punch. Ethan blinked. Ava doesn't fight. She did today. He looked at his daughter. Ava, talk to me. Her jaw trembled. He said you weren't a good dad. Everything stopped. Who said that? Tyler Morrison. He said his mom said that single dads can't do it right. That I probably don't even have nice clothes or good lunches because you don't know what you're doing. Ethan's blood went cold. So I hit him, Ava continued, her voice breaking. Because he's wrong. You're the best dad ever, and I don't care what his stupid mom thinks. Principal Chen sighed. While I understand Ava's feelings, violence is not acceptable. She's suspended for the rest of the week. Suspended? Ethan stood. She was defending herself. She threw the first punch, Mr. Blake, because some kid was bullying her. That's still not an excuse. He wanted to argue, wanted to fight this, but Ava was watching him with wide, scared eyes, and he knew she needed him calm more than she needed him right. Fine, he said. We'll go. He took Ava's hand and led her out of the office. They didn't speak until they were in the car. Am I in trouble? She asked quietly. No, but I hit someone. You defended our family. That's different. Principal Chen said, I know what she said, but sometimes the rules don't account for everything. She was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry. For what? For making you leave work, for getting suspended, for Stop. He pulled over, turning to look at her. You have nothing to apologize for, you hear me? Nothing. Her eyes filled with tears. I just wanted him to stop talking. I know, baby. I know. She unbuckled her seatbelt and climbed into his lap, something she hadn't done in over a year. He held her while she cried, feeling every sob like a punch to his own chest. When she finally calmed down, she pulled back and looked at him. Can we call Ms. Hale? Why? Because she makes things better. His throat tightened. Yeah. We can call her. He pulled out his phone and dialed. Victoria answered on the second ring. Ethan, is everything, Ava got suspended. Silence. What happened? He explained, keeping his voice level even though rage was still simmering under his skin. When he finished, Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Where are you now? In the car, outside the school. Go home. I'll meet you there. Victoria, you don't have to. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hung up. Ava looked at him. Is she coming? Yeah. Good. They drove home in silence. Ethan kept glancing at Ava in the rearview mirror, at her red knuckles and tear-stained face, and felt something fierce and protective rise in his chest. He'd protected her from so much over the years, but he couldn't protect her from other people's judgments, from the whispers and assumptions that came with being raised by a single parent. Victoria arrived in 15 minutes. She walked in without knocking, still in her work clothes, her face a mask of controlled fury. Where is she? Living room. Victoria went straight to Ava, who looked up with wide eyes. Are you okay? Victoria asked. Ava nodded. Did you win? Ava blinked. What? The fight. Did you win? A small smile crept onto Ava's face. Yeah, I think so. Good. Victoria sat down beside her. Now, tell me exactly what happened. Don't leave anything out. Ava told the story again, this time with more detail, about how Tyler had been saying things for weeks, about how his mom picked him up every day and made comments loud enough for other parents to hear, about how today Tyler had brought homemade cookies and made a big show of saying his mom made them because she actually cares. And that's when you hit him? Victoria asked. That's when I hit him. Victoria nodded slowly. I understand why you did it, but you can't hit people every time they say something you don't like. I know. Do you? Ava looked down. I just got so mad. Being mad is okay. Hitting is not. Then what was I supposed to do? Use your words. Tell a teacher. Walk away. But that feels like losing. It's not. It's being smart. Ava didn't look convinced. Victoria reached out and tilted her chin up. Listen to me. People are going to say things, cruel things, things that aren't true, and it's going to hurt. But you can't let them make you into someone you're not. You're better than that. But what if they don't stop? Then you keep being better. Eventually, they'll get tired. And if they don't? Victoria glanced at Ethan, then back at Ava. Then we handle it, together. Ava threw her arms around Victoria's neck. Victoria stiffened for a second, then softened, wrapping her arms around the small girl. Thank you for coming, Ava whispered. Always, Victoria whispered back. Ethan watched them, something warm and terrifying spreading through his chest. After Ava went to her room to change, Victoria joined Ethan in the kitchen. Tyler Morrison's mother, she said. What do you know about her? Not much. We've never spoken. But she's been talking about you. Apparently. Victoria's jaw tightened. That's unacceptable. It's also not illegal. No, but it's cruel. Welcome to single parenthood. People have opinions. Their opinions are wrong. He smiled despite himself. Thanks. She looked at him, her expression softening. How are you? Honestly, I want to drive back to that school and give Tyler's mom a piece of my mind. Why don't you? Because it won't help. It'll just make things worse for Ava. So you do nothing? I do what I always do. Keep my head down, keep moving forward, hope it gets better. Victoria stepped closer. You shouldn't have to do this alone. I'm not alone. I have Ava. That's not what I meant. He met her eyes. What did you mean? I meant you have me too, if you want. The words hung between them. Victoria, I know I'm not her mother. I know I don't have any official role in her life, but I care about her. I care about both of you, and I'm tired of pretending I don't. His heart was pounding. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm all in, if you'll have me. He didn't think. He just pulled her into his arms and held her tight. She stiffened for half a second, then melted into him, her face buried in his shoulder. I'll have you, he said quietly. We'll have you. They stood there for a long time, just holding each other. When they finally pulled apart, Victoria's eyes were shining. I should get back to work, she said. Stay. Ethan, just for dinner, please. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. Dinner was simple, spaghetti and garlic bread. Ava talked non-stop, the suspension already forgotten in the comfort of having both of them there. Victoria listened, asked questions, laughed at Ava's terrible jokes. She looked more relaxed than Ethan had ever seen her. After dinner, Ava begged Victoria to read her a story. I don't really do bedtime stories, Victoria said. Please? Just one? Victoria looked at Ethan. He shrugged. One? Victoria agreed. They went to Ava's room, and Ethan followed, leaning against the doorframe. Victoria sat on the edge of the bed, book in hand, and began to read. Her voice was softer than usual, less controlled, more human. Ava fell asleep halfway through. Victoria set the book down and pulled the blanket up to Ava's chin. Then she just sat there, looking at the sleeping child with an expression Ethan couldn't quite read. She's lucky to have you, Victoria said without looking up. We're lucky to have each other. No, I mean it. You've built something here, something real, something I never thought I'd be part of. You are part of it. She finally looked at him. Am I? Yes. What does that mean? For us? He pushed off the doorframe and crossed the room, sitting beside her on the bed. It means whatever we want it to mean. I don't know what I want. That's okay. We'll figure it out. You keep saying that. Because it's true. She smiled, small and uncertain. What if I mess this up? Then we'll fix it. And if we can't, we will. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and they sat there in the dim light of Ava's nightlight, watching her sleep. I haven't felt this scared in years, Victoria admitted. Of what? Losing this. Losing you. You're not going to lose us. You don't know that? No, but I believe it. She turned to look at him. How? Because you're here, because you show up, because you care. That's all that matters. She kissed him. It was soft, tentative, like she wasn't sure she was allowed. He kissed her back, gentle and certain. When they pulled apart, she was crying. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her eyes. I don't know why It's okay. It's not. I'm a mess. You're human. She laughed, watery and broken. I don't think I've been human in a long time. Well, you are, now. They left Ava's room and went back to the living room. Victoria sat on the couch, and Ethan sat beside her. They didn't talk. Didn't need to. The silence was comfortable now. I should go, she said eventually. You don't have to. I know, but I have an early meeting tomorrow. Of course you do. She smiled. Old habits. He walked her to the door. She paused on the threshold, looking back at him. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you for letting me in. Thank you for staying. She kissed him again, longer this time, and then she was gone. Ethan closed the door and leaned against it, his heart racing. Everything had changed. The next morning, Ethan got a call from Principal Chen. Mr. Blake, I wanted to follow up on yesterday's incident. Okay? Tyler's mother has requested a meeting with you. Why? She wants to discuss what happened, clear the air. And if I don't want to meet with her, I think it would be beneficial for both families. He doubted that, but he agreed anyway. The meeting was scheduled for Thursday afternoon. Ethan spent the days leading up to it trying not to obsess over what he'd say, trying not to imagine all the ways it could go wrong. When Thursday arrived, he showed up 15 minutes early. Principal Chen's office smelled like stale coffee and stress. Tyler's mother, Margaret Morrison, was already there, sitting with her arms crossed and her expression pinched. Mr. Blake, she said, not standing. Mrs. Morrison. They sat in uncomfortable silence until Principal Chen cleared her throat. Thank you both for coming. I think it's important we address what happened and find a path forward. Margaret leaned forward. My son has a black eye because your daughter can't control her temper. Ethan's jaw tightened. Your son has a black eye because he spent weeks bullying my daughter. Tyler wasn't bullying anyone, he was stating facts. Facts? That single fathers can't provide the same stability as a two-parent household. The room went silent. Ethan took a slow breath. With all due respect, Mrs. Morrison, you don't know anything about my daughter or our life. I know she's being raised by one parent who's clearly overwhelmed. Overwhelmed? You run a failing bookstore. You work under someone else's authority. You're barely scraping by. That's not stability. And you know this how? It's a small community, Mr. Blake. People talk. Then people need to mind their own business. When it affects my son, it is my business. Principal Chen raised a hand. Let's all take a breath. But Ethan was done taking breaths. You want to judge me? He said, his voice low and controlled. Fine. Judge away. But don't you dare take it out on my daughter. She's 8 years old. She doesn't deserve your cruelty. I'm not being cruel. I'm being realistic. No, you're being a bully, just like your son. Margaret's face flushed. How dare you? How dare I? How dare you? You've spent weeks making my daughter feel less than because she doesn't fit your perfect little picture of what a family should look like. Well, guess what? We're doing just fine without your approval. Fine? She punched my son because he pushed her to her limit, because she's a child who doesn't have the tools yet to handle people like you. People like me? People who think they're better than everyone else. Margaret stood. I don't have to listen to this. No, you don't, but you should. She grabbed her purse and turned to Principal Chen. I expect Ava Blake to be suspended for the rest of the month. That's not, Principal Chen started, or I'll take this to the district. She stormed out. Ethan sat there, his hands shaking. That went well, he said dryly. Principal Chen sighed. I'm sorry. I thought she'd be more reasonable. People like her are never reasonable. For what it's worth, I don't agree with her. You're doing a great job with Ava. Thanks. But it doesn't change the fact that she's going to make our lives hell now. Maybe not. Let me handle her. How? By doing my job. By protecting Ava. He wanted to believe her. He really did. When he got home, Victoria was waiting on his doorstep. How did you... Diane told me about the meeting. I figured you'd need backup. He almost laughed. You're a little late. How bad was it? Bad. She followed him inside. He told her everything. Every word, every look, every thinly veiled insult. By the time he finished, Victoria's expression was ice. Give me her name. Victoria. Her full name. and her husband's name if she has one. Why? Because I'm going to make a few calls. You can't watch me. Victoria, this isn't your fight. She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Yes, it is. Because you're mine now, and Ava's mine, and no one gets to hurt what's mine. His breath caught. I'm yours? Her expression softened. If you want to be. I do. Then let me do this. Do what? What I do best. Handle people who think they're untouchable. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her it wasn't necessary, but the truth was he was tired of fighting alone, tired of being judged, tired of pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Okay, he said. Okay? Do what you need to do. She kissed him, hard and fast. I'll take care of it. How? You'll see. She left before he could ask more questions. 2 days later, Margaret Morrison called him. Mr. Blake, I wanted to apologize. He almost dropped the phone. Excuse me? I was out of line. I let my emotions get the better of me. Tyler told me more about what he said to Ava, and I realize now that he was wrong. We were wrong. What changed your mind? A pause. Let's just say I had a very enlightening conversation with someone who made me see things differently. Who? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm sorry, and I hope we can move forward. Does Tyler know you're calling? He does. He wants to apologize too. Ethan didn't know what to say. Mr. Blake? Yeah, okay. We can move forward. Thank you. She hung up. Ethan immediately called Victoria. What did you do? I made a few calls. Victoria. Her husband works for a company I have investments in. I simply had a conversation with his supervisor about workplace culture and family values. You didn't. I did, and I'd do it again. That's effective? He laughed despite himself. Yeah, that. No one messes with my family. Your family? Yes, you and Ava. You're my family now. His chest felt too full. Victoria, don't. Just accept it. Okay. Good. They stayed on the phone for another hour, talking about nothing and everything. When they finally hung up, Ethan sat in the quiet of his apartment and realized something had shifted. He wasn't alone anymore. None of them were. The following week, things settled into a new rhythm. Victoria started coming over more often, not just Fridays, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays too. She'd bring dinner sometimes, or just show up and help with homework. Ava soaked up the attention like a plant finding sun after years in shade. One night, after Ava was asleep, Victoria and Ethan sat on the couch with glasses of wine neither of them was really drinking. I have to tell you something, Victoria said. Okay. The board wants me to take on more, expand internationally. It would mean more travel, more hours. His stomach sank. And I told them no. He looked at her. What? I told them I'm restructuring my role, delegating more, focusing on strategy instead of day-to-day operations. Why? She set her glass down and took his hand. Because I don't want to miss this. Any of this. I've spent my entire adult life chasing success, and I finally have everything I thought I wanted. But it doesn't mean anything if I can't share it with someone. Victoria, I'm in love with you, Ethan. I'm in love with Ava. I'm in love with this messy, imperfect life you've built. And I don't want to miss it because I'm too busy working. He couldn't breathe. Say something, she whispered. I love you too. She kissed him, and this time there was no hesitation, no fear, just certainty. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. So what now? Now we figure out what this looks like. Together? Together. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I like the sound of that. Me too. They sat there in the quiet, the future uncertain, but no longer terrifying, because whatever came next, they'd face it together, and that was enough. The first real test came 3 weeks later. Ethan was closing up the bookstore when his phone rang. Victoria's name flashed on the screen, but when he answered, it wasn't her voice he heard. Mr. Blake? This is Diane from Miss Hale's office. There's been an accident. The world tilted. What kind of accident? Car accident. She's at Mercy General. She asked me to call you. He was running before Diane finished the sentence. He called his sister from the car, begged her to pick up Ava from the after-school program, didn't wait for her to ask questions. His hands shook on the steering wheel. His mind raced through every terrible possibility. The hospital was chaos, sirens, people shouting, the fluorescent lights too bright. He found the reception desk and gave Victoria's name, his voice barely working. Room 314, third floor. He took the stairs 2 at a time. When he burst into the room, Victoria was sitting upright in the bed, arguing with a nurse about discharge papers. "I'm fine," she was saying. "I don't need to stay overnight. Ms. Hale, you have a concussion, a mild concussion. Still a concussion." Ethan stopped in the doorway, breathing hard. Victoria looked up and saw him. Her expression softened. "Ethan." He crossed the room in 3 steps, not caring about the nurse or the monitors or anything else. He took Victoria's face in his hands, checking for injuries. There was a bandage above her right eyebrow, a bruise blooming on her cheek, but she was alive. She was okay. "You scared the hell out of me," he said. "I'm sorry." "What happened?" "Someone ran a red light, hit my passenger side. The car's totaled, but I'm fine." "You have a concussion." "A mild one." "Victoria, I'm fine," she said again, but her voice cracked on the last word. He pulled her into his arms, careful not to hurt her. She buried her face in his shoulder, and he felt her shake. "I'm okay," she whispered. "I'm okay." But she didn't sound okay. She sounded terrified. The nurse cleared her throat. "I'll give you 2 a moment." She left, closing the door behind her. Victoria pulled back, wiping her eyes. "This is ridiculous. I'm not hurt. I don't know why I'm—" "You almost died." "I didn't." "You could have." She looked at him, and he saw the fear she was trying so hard to hide. "I know." "What were you thinking? Arguing about leaving? You need to stay here. Let them monitor you." "I hate hospitals." "I know, but you're staying." "Ethan, I'm not arguing about this. You're staying, and I'm staying with you. You have Ava. My sister has Ava. I'm not leaving you alone." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. "Okay. Okay? Okay." He sat on the edge of the bed, still holding her hand. They stayed like that for a long time, neither speaking. "I kept thinking about you," Victoria said quietly. "When the other car hit. In that split second before everything went black, I thought about you and Ava, about how I wouldn't get to see you again." His throat tightened. "But you did. You're here." "I'm here. And you're not going anywhere." She squeezed his hand. "No, I'm not." The nurse returned with paperwork. Victoria had to stay for observation, 24 hours minimum. Ethan called his sister, explained the situation, and settled in for a long night. Around midnight, Victoria finally fell asleep. Ethan sat in the uncomfortable chair beside her bed, watching her breathe. Every rise and fall of her chest felt like a miracle. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister. "Ava's asking for you, and for Victoria. Should I tell her what happened?" He thought about it, then typed back. "Not yet. Tell her Victoria had to work late. I'll explain tomorrow." "Okay. Love you." "Love you too." He set the phone down and leaned back, exhaustion hitting him all at once. He closed his eyes, just for a second. When he woke up, it was morning. Pale sunlight filtered through the blinds. Victoria was awake, watching him. "You stayed," she said. "Of course I stayed." "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." She smiled, small and tired. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being here, for not leaving." "I told you. You're not getting rid of me that easy." She reached for his hand. "Good." They released her that afternoon with strict instructions to rest and follow up with her doctor. Ethan drove her back to her apartment, a sleek, modern space that felt more like a hotel than a home. Everything was white and chrome and untouched. "You've never invited me here before," he said, looking around. "There's nothing to see." "It's where you live." "No, it's where I sleep, sometimes." He understood what she meant. There were no photos, no personal touches, nothing that said Victoria lived here. It was a shell. "Come stay with us," he said. She looked at him. "What?" "Come stay at my place, just for a few days, until you're feeling better." "Ethan, I can't impose. You're not imposing. I'm inviting. What about Ava? She'll be thrilled. Victoria hesitated. Are you sure? I'm sure. She nodded slowly. Okay, just for a few days. However long you need. They packed a bag. Victoria moved through her apartment like a stranger, picking out clothes with no attachment, and drove to Ethan's place. His sister met them at the door with Ava, who took one look at Victoria's bandaged forehead and gasped. What happened? I had a little accident, Victoria said, but I'm fine. Does it hurt? A little. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I don't want you to be hurt. Victoria knelt down, wincing slightly. Hey, I'm okay, see? Just a few bruises. Can I hug you? Please. Ava wrapped her arms around Victoria's neck, gentle and careful. Victoria closed her eyes, holding the small girl like she was the most precious thing in the world. Ethan's sister caught his eye, raising an eyebrow. He shook his head slightly, later. That night they all had dinner together. Victoria sat at the table in borrowed sweatpants and one of Ethan's old t-shirts, looking more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. Ava chattered non-stop about school, about her friends, about the book Victoria had given her last week. And then the dragon turned out to be nice. Can you believe it? I can, Victoria said. Sometimes the things we're afraid of turn out to be exactly what we need. Ava considered this. Like broccoli? Victoria laughed. Sure, like broccoli. After dinner, Ava insisted Victoria read to her again. Ethan watched from the doorway as Victoria settled into the now familiar spot on Ava's bed, book in hand. She read with more confidence this time, doing different voices for different characters. Ava giggled and asked questions and made Victoria read her favorite parts twice. When Ava finally fell asleep, Victoria carefully extracted herself and joined Ethan in the living room. She's amazing, Victoria said, settling onto the couch beside him. She is. And she's yours. She is. Victoria was quiet for a moment. I never thought I wanted this. Kids, family, the whole domestic thing. I thought I was above it somehow, that I had more important things to focus on. And now? Now I think I was just scared. Of what? Of wanting it and not being good enough. Of trying and failing. He took her hand. You're not failing. How do you know? Because you're here. Because you show up. Because Ava lights up every time she sees you. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I love her. I didn't expect to, but I do. I love her so much it terrifies me. I know the feeling. And I love you, she continued, which is even more terrifying. He pulled her closer, and she rested her head on his shoulder. What if I mess this up? You won't. But what if I do? Then we'll figure it out, together, like we always do. She was quiet for a long time, then, I want to be more than just someone who visits. I want to be part of this. Really part of it. His heart stuttered. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to be here, with you and Ava. Not as a guest, as family. Victoria, I know it's fast. I know we haven't even been together that long. But when that car hit me, all I could think was that I'd wasted so much time. Time I could have spent with you. With her. And I don't want to waste any more. He turned to face her fully. Are you asking to move in? Eventually. Maybe. I don't know. She laughed, frustrated. I'm not good at this. You're doing fine. I'm panicking. A little. I need you to know that I'm serious about this. About us. I'm not going anywhere. I know. Do you? Yes. She kissed him, soft and certain. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. So, she said, how does this work? I have no idea. Great. We're both clueless. We'll figure it out. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. The next morning, Ethan woke to find Victoria already up, making breakfast. Or trying to. She stood in front of the stove, staring at a pan of eggs like they'd personally offended her. Need help? He asked. I can make eggs. Can you? She shot him a look. I run a multi-million-dollar company. I can make eggs. Those are scrambled. I know. You said you were making fried. Plans change. He came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. She leaned back into him. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. The domestic stuff, cooking breakfast, being here in the morning. I've spent my entire adult life in boardrooms and offices. I don't know how to be this person. What person? The person who makes breakfast and reads bedtime stories and goes to school events. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. What if myself isn't enough? He turned her around to face him. Victoria, you're more than enough. You always have been. I'm so used to being in control, knowing exactly what to do. But this, you and Ava, I don't have a playbook for this. Good, because neither do I. We're making it up as we go. That's terrifying. Yeah, but it's also kind of great. She kissed him, slow and deep. When they pulled apart, the eggs were burning. Damn it, she muttered, turning off the stove. Cereal? He offered. Cereal. They ate breakfast with Ava, who was thrilled to have Victoria there in the morning. After Ava left for school, Victoria and Ethan sat at the table, coffee going cold between them. I need to tell you something, Victoria said. Okay. The board isn't happy about me stepping back. They think I'm making a mistake. What do you think? I think they're wrong, but it's still hard. Hale Industries has been my entire identity for so long. Walking away from that, even partially, feels like losing myself. You're not walking away. You're just making space for other things. I know, but knowing it and feeling it are different. Do you regret it? No, but I'm scared. Of what? Of failing. At this. At us. At being what you and Ava need. He reached across the table and took her hand. You're not going to fail. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise that even if you stumble, we'll be here to catch you. She squeezed his hand. I don't deserve you. That's not your call to make. She smiled. You're insufferably optimistic. Someone has to be. Over the next few days, Victoria stayed with them. She learned to make spaghetti without burning it. She helped Ava with homework, though she struggled with third-grade math more than she'd expected. She sat through an entire episode of Ava's favorite cartoon without checking her email once. One night, after Ava was asleep, she and Ethan sat on the couch going through bookstore finances. This is bad, Victoria said, frowning at the spreadsheet. I know. How are you still open? Stubbornness and credit cards. Ethan, I know, but I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything. Online sales, events, coffee bar. Nothing's working. Victoria was quiet, her business mind clearly working. What if you didn't do it alone? What do you mean? What if we partnered? I could invest. We could modernize the space, expand inventory, create a real marketing strategy. Victoria, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Why? Because this place matters to you, and because I think, with the right approach, it could actually be profitable. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, it's an investment in something I believe in. He looked at her. You really think we could save it? I think we could do more than save it. I think we could make it thrive. Hope flickered in his chest, fragile and terrifying. Okay. Okay? Let's do it. Together. She grinned. Together. They stayed up late that night, brainstorming ideas. Victoria's sharp business mind combined with Ethan's love for books created something neither of them had expected, a real vision. Not just a bookstore, but a community space, a place that mattered. By the time they finally went to bed, Ethan felt lighter than he had in months. The following week, Victoria went back to her apartment to get more clothes. She came back with 2 suitcases instead of 1. I thought we said a few days, Ethan said, eyeing the luggage. We did. It's been a week. I know. And you brought more stuff. She set the suitcases down, suddenly looking uncertain. Is that okay? I can take them back if... It's more than okay. Relief flooded her face. Really? Really. Stay as long as you want. What if I want to stay permanently? His breath caught. Then stay permanently. She smiled, and it transformed her whole face. Okay. Okay? I'll need to keep the apartment for work things. But this, Here. This is where I want to be. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her, deep and certain. When they pulled apart, she was laughing. What? He asked. I just moved in with you, and we haven't even been together for 2 months. Too fast? Probably. Regrets? None. Good. Me neither. That night they told Ava together. So, Ms. Hale is going to be staying with us for a while, Ethan said. Ava looked up from her coloring book. How long? Victoria knelt down beside her. As long as you'll have me. Like, forever? If that's okay with you. Ava threw her arms around Victoria's neck. Yes, 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 yes. Victoria held her close, looking at Ethan over Ava's shoulder. He saw tears in her eyes, and his own chest felt too full. Does this mean you're my mom now? Ava asked, pulling back. The question hung in the air. Victoria's face went pale. She looked at Ethan, lost. He knelt down beside them. Ava, Ms. Hale loves you very much, but she's not your mom. Your mom was someone else. But she's gone, Ava said matter-of-factly, and Ms. Hale is here. I know, but being a mom is complicated. Why? Because it's a big responsibility, and it's not something anyone can just decide overnight. Ava looked at Victoria. Do you want to be my mom? Victoria's hands shook. I don't know if I'd be good at it. But do you want to? Victoria took a shaky breath. More than anything. Then you should be. It's not that simple, sweetheart. Why not? Ethan and Victoria exchanged looks. How did you explain this to an 8-year-old? How did you navigate the complicated space between what is and what could be? How about this? Victoria said carefully. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And I love you. We can figure out the rest as we go. Ava considered this. Okay, but can I call you something other than Ms. Hale? Like what? I don't know. Mom feels weird, but Ms. Hale feels too formal. What about Victoria? That's your work name, Victoria smiled. How about V? Just V. Ava tested it out. V, I like it. Then V it is. They put Ava to bed together, both of them reading parts of the story. When they finally left her room, they stood in the hallway, both emotionally wrung out. That was intense, Victoria said. Yeah. Did I handle it okay? You handled it perfectly. I froze when she asked if I was her mom. That's a big question. I wanted to say yes, but I didn't know if I had the right. He took her hand. You have whatever right we give you. This is our family. We make the rules. I don't know how to be a mother. You're already doing it. I read her stories and help with homework. That's everything. Victoria, you show up. You care? You're present. That's what matters. She leaned against him, exhausted. I'm terrified I'm going to mess her up. Join the club. I think that every single day. How do you deal with it? I just keep trying, keep showing up, keep loving her even when I'm scared I'm not enough. You're more than enough. So are you. They stood there in the quiet hallway, holding each other, both scared and hopeful and committed to figuring it out together. And that, Ethan thought, was what family really meant. Not perfection, not having all the answers, just showing up day after day and choosing each other over and over again. The transformation of the bookstore took 3 months. Victoria threw herself into it with the same intensity she'd once reserved for board meetings. She hired contractors, consulted with designers, argued with Ethan about every detail. They fought about paint colors, shelf placement, whether to keep the old cash register or upgrade to something modern. It has character, Ethan insisted, gesturing at the ancient register. It has rust, Victoria countered. Same thing. It's not. They kept the register. The new bookstore, still called Blake's, because Victoria refused to let him change it, opened on a Saturday in late June. The space had been completely reimagined. New shelves, better lighting, a coffee bar that actually worked. But it still felt like Ethan's place, still felt like home. The line wrapped around the block. Ethan stood behind the counter, overwhelmed, while Victoria managed the crowd with the efficiency of someone who'd spent years running a company. Ava darted between customers, handing out bookmarks she'd designed herself. "This is insane," Ethan said when Victoria passed him. "This is success." "I don't know what to do with this many people." "Sell them books. That's literally your job." He laughed despite his nerves. By closing time, they'd sold more inventory in one day than Ethan usually moved in a month. He locked the door and leaned against it, exhausted and exhilarated. "We did it," he said. Victoria was counting the register, her business face firmly in place. "We exceeded projections by 40%. In English? We killed it." Ava cheered from her fort behind the children's section. They went home that night as a family. The words still felt new, fragile, but increasingly real. Victoria cooked dinner while Ethan helped Ava with a school project. It was ordinary, perfect in its ordinariness. After Ava went to bed, Victoria found Ethan on the couch, staring at nothing. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "About how different everything is. 6 months ago, I was drowning, barely keeping my head above water. And now? Now I have you, and the store is actually working, and Ava is happy. It feels too good to be real." Victoria sat beside him. "It is real. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. It won't. You can't know that." "No, but I can believe it." He looked at her. "When did you become the optimist?" "When I found something worth being optimistic about." He kissed her, soft and grateful. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "I have something to tell you," she said. "Okay." "The board approved my restructuring proposal. I'm officially stepping down as CEO." He sat up. "What?" "I'm staying on as chairman. Strategic oversight, big picture decisions. But day-to-day operations go to someone else." Victoria, "I know what you're going to say, that I'm giving up too much, that I work too hard to walk away. But I'm not walking away. I'm just making room for other things." "Like what?" "Like this. Like us. Like having a life outside of work." "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything. Ethan, I spent 15 years building a company, and it nearly killed me, literally. That accident, it was a wake-up call. Life is short. I don't want to spend what's left of it in boardrooms." "What do you want to spend it doing?" "Living. With you. With Ava. Maybe even expanding the bookstore. I've been thinking, what if we opened a second location?" He blinked. "You want to open another bookstore?" "Why not? This one's working. We have a model. We could replicate it." "That's ambitious." "I'm an ambitious person. I've noticed." She grinned. "So? What do you think?" "I think you're insane." "Is that a yes?" "It's a maybe we'll discuss it later." "I'll take it." They stayed up late that night, talking about possibilities, about futures they'd never imagined, about dreams that suddenly felt within reach. The next morning, Ethan woke to find Victoria's side of the bed empty. He found her in the kitchen, surrounded by craft supplies, looking frustrated. "What are you doing?" "Making something for Ava. For her birthday." Her birthday. 2 weeks away. He'd almost forgotten. "What are you making?" "A book. A handmade book." "About what?" Victoria looked up and he saw vulnerability in her eyes. "About us. About how we became a family." His chest tightened. "Victoria, I know it's sentimental. I know it's not really my thing, but I wanted her to have something that shows how much she means to me." He crossed the room and looked at what she'd created so far. Pages covered in careful handwriting, illustrations that were clumsy but earnest. It was imperfect. It was beautiful. "She's gonna love it," he said. "You think so?" "I know so." She smiled, relieved. "Good, because I've been working on it for weeks, and I was worried it was stupid." "It's not stupid. It's perfect. It's really not. My drawing skills are terrible." "They're unique." "That's a nice way of saying terrible." "It's a nice way of saying they're yours, and that's what matters." She set down her pen and looked at him. "I love you. I love you too. And I love Ava." "I know." "Well, I want to make it official." He froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I want to adopt her, if that's okay with you, and with her." The world stopped. "You want to adopt her?" "Yes. I know it's a big step. I know it's complicated. But I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. I'm here, for good. And I want Ava to know that, really know it. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Say something, Victoria whispered. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. It's a huge commitment. I know. You'd legally be her mother. I know. Victoria, I know I'm not perfect. I know I don't always know what I'm doing, but I love her. And I want to be there for her for everything. School events and homework and teenage drama and college applications. All of it. Tears blurred his vision. She's going to be so happy. Is that a yes? That's a hell yes, Victoria laughed, pulling him into her arms. They stood there at the kitchen, holding each other, both crying and laughing and overwhelmed. When do we tell her? Victoria asked. On her birthday. Along with the book? Along with the book. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of planning. They threw together a birthday party. Nothing elaborate, just family and a few of Ava's friends. Ethan's sister came, along with Victoria's assistant Diane, who'd become an unexpected friend. The day of the party, Ava woke up vibrating with excitement. I'm 9, she announced, bursting into Ethan's room. You are, he said, still half asleep. That's almost double digits. It is. Can we have cake for breakfast? No. Why not? Because I'm a responsible parent, she pouted, then noticed Victoria wasn't in bed. Where's V? Probably already up. You know her. They found Victoria in the kitchen making pancakes, or trying to. She'd improved over the months, but cooking still wasn't her strength. Happy birthday, Victoria said, turning around with a slightly burnt pancake on the spatula. Ava giggled. Thanks, V. I made your favorite. Chocolate chip? Of course. They ate breakfast together, Ava chattering nonstop about what she wanted to do that day. The party wasn't until afternoon, so they had the morning to themselves. Can we go to the bookstore? Ava asked. Why? Ethan said. We're there all the time. I know, but I like it there. Victoria and Ethan exchanged glances. Okay, Ethan said. Let's go to the bookstore. They spent the morning there, just the 3 of them. Ava showed Victoria her favorite hiding spots, the corners she'd claimed as her own. Victoria listened with the attention she usually reserved for business presentations. This is where I come when I'm sad, Ava said, pointing to a nook behind the poetry section. You come here when you're sad? Victoria asked gently. Yeah, it's quiet, and books make me feel better. What do you get sad about? Ava shrugged. Sometimes I think about my mom, the one who left. Victoria's face softened. That makes sense. Do you ever get sad? All the time. About what? About time I wasted, people I didn't let in, chances I didn't take. Like what? Like you. And your dad. I could have met you both years ago, but I was too scared. Of what? Of wanting something and losing it. Ava considered this. But you're here now. I am. So you're not scared anymore? Victoria smiled. Oh, I'm still terrified, but I'm here anyway. Ava hugged her suddenly, fiercely. Victoria held her close, looking at Ethan over the girl's shoulder. He saw tears in her eyes. The party that afternoon was perfect chaos. Kids running everywhere, cake smashed into carpets, presents torn open with abandon. Ava was radiant, surrounded by friends and family. When it was time for the final present, Victoria pulled out the handmade book. This one's from me, she said, sitting beside Ava. Ava's eyes went wide. You made this? I did. For me? For you. Ava opened it carefully. The first page showed a drawing of a woman standing alone in a tall building, looking out a window. Once there was a woman who had everything, Victoria read. A company, an apartment, success. But she was lonely. So lonely she didn't even realize it anymore. She turned the page. A man and a small girl in a bookstore. And there was a man who had almost nothing, just a struggling bookstore and a daughter who meant everything. He was lonely, too. But he had love, and that made all the difference. Another page. The woman entering the bookstore. One day, the lonely woman walked into the bookstore. She didn't know why. She just felt pulled there. And when she saw the man and his daughter, something inside her cracked open. Ava was transfixed, turning each page slowly as Victoria read. The story unfolded: the hospital, the cafe meetings, the park, the accident, all of it rendered in simple drawings and careful words. The last page showed three figures holding hands, and the woman learned that home isn't a place. It's people. It's showing up even when you're scared. It's choosing love over loneliness. It's becoming a family, not by blood, but by choice. Victoria's voice broke on the last word. Ava looked up at her, eyes shining. Is this about us? Yes. You were the lonely woman? I was. But you're not lonely anymore? No, not anymore. Ava threw her arms around Victoria. I love it. I love you. Victoria held her tight. I love you too, sweetheart, so much. Ethan knelt beside them. Ava, V and I want to ask you something. She pulled back, curious. What? Victoria took a breath. How would you feel if I became your mom, officially, through adoption? Ava went very still. Really? Really? If you want that. Would you be my mom forever? Forever. And you wouldn't leave? Victoria's voice was thick with emotion. Never, I promise. Ava looked at Ethan. Is this real? It's real, baby. Ava launched herself at Victoria, nearly knocking her over. Yes, 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 I want that. Victoria was crying openly now, holding Ava like she might disappear. Okay, we'll make it happen. When? As soon as we can. Tomorrow? Victoria laughed through her tears. It takes a little longer than that, but soon. Ava pulled back, her face serious. Can I call you Mom? Victoria's breath caught. If you want to. I want to. Then yes, you can call me Mom. Ava tested it out. Mom. Yeah? I love you, Mom. Victoria couldn't speak. She just pulled Ava close again, both of them crying. Ethan wrapped his arms around both of them, and they sat there on the floor, surrounded by wrapping paper and half-eaten cake. A family in every way that mattered. The adoption process took 6 months. There were interviews, home visits, mountains of paperwork. Victoria approached it with the same determination she'd once applied to corporate takeovers. Ethan watched her navigate every obstacle, every delay, every frustrating bureaucratic hurdle, and fell more in love with her every day. The hearing was set for a cold morning in January. They dressed carefully. Ava in her favorite dress, Victoria in a suit that made her look powerful and terrified all at once. The courtroom was smaller than Ethan expected. Just them, the judge, and a social worker who'd been assigned to their case. Judge Martinez was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She reviewed the paperwork, asked a few questions, then looked at Ava. Ava, do you understand what adoption means? Yes, ma'am. Can you explain it to me? It means Mom becomes my real mom, forever. And is that what you want? More than anything. Why? Ava thought about it. Because she shows up. When I'm sad or scared or happy or anything, she's there, and she loves me. I can tell. Judge Martinez smiled. That's a very good answer. She turned to Victoria. Ms. Hale, are you prepared to take on the legal and emotional responsibility of parenthood? I am, Your Honor. This is a lifetime commitment. There's no trial period, no walking away if it gets hard. I understand, and I'm ready. Why do you want to adopt Ava? Victoria's voice was steady. Because she's already my daughter in every way that matters. I just want the law to recognize what we've all known for months. She's mine. I'm hers. We're a family. The judge nodded. Mr. Blake, do you support this adoption? Completely, Your Honor. And you understand that Ms. Hale will have equal parental rights? I do, and I want that. Judge Martinez reviewed the papers one more time, then she smiled. I see no reason to delay. The adoption is approved. Congratulations. Ava squealed. Victoria's hands flew to her mouth. Ethan felt tears on his face. Ms. Hale, you are now Ava Blake's legal mother, Judge Martinez continued. May you have a lifetime of happiness together. Victoria pulled Ava into her arms, both of them crying. Ethan joined them, and they stood there in the courtroom, holding each other, a family made official. Outside, Victoria knelt in front of Ava. "You're mine now. Legally, officially mine." "We were already yours," Ava said simply. "I know, but now everyone knows it." They celebrated with pizza, Ava's choice. The three of them squeezed into a booth at their favorite place, eating too much and laughing too loud. Victoria had never looked happier. The sharp edges that had once defined her were gone, replaced by something softer, warmer. "What are you thinking?" Ethan asked her later that night, after Ava was asleep. "That I can't believe this is my life." "Good can't believe or bad can't believe?" "Good. Definitely good." She leaned against him. "A year ago, I would have told you this was impossible, that I was too damaged, too focused on work, too far gone to have this. And now? Now I know I was just scared. And that being scared is okay, as long as you don't let it stop you. You sound like me. I learned from the best." They sat in comfortable silence, the apartment quiet around them. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Marry me." He turned to look at her. "What?" She sat up, suddenly nervous. "I know we've only been together a year. I know it's fast, but I don't want to wait anymore. I don't want to waste any more time. I want you. I want this. I want to make it permanent." "Victoria, you don't have to answer now. I just needed to ask, because I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you and Ava. Officially." He kissed her. "Yes." She pulled back. "Yes?" "Yes, I'll marry you." "Really? Really?" She laughed, relieved and joyful. "We're doing this?" "We're doing this. We're insane." "Probably, but it feels right." "It does." They told Ava the next morning. She screamed so loud the neighbors knocked on the wall. "You're getting married?" "We are," Victoria said. "When?" "We haven't decided yet." "Can I be in the wedding?" "Of course." "Can I wear a fancy dress?" "The fanciest." Ava did a victory dance around the living room. Ethan and Victoria watched, both grinning like idiots. "We really are insane," Victoria said. "Yeah, but it's the best kind of insane." They got married 3 months later in the bookstore. It was small, just family and close friends. Ava stood between them, holding both their hands. The ceremony was short, the vows simple. "I promise to show up," Ethan said, "every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." "I promise to let you in," Victoria said, "to choose this, choose us, over fear, always." They exchanged rings, kissed, became a family in yet another way. At the reception, Ava gave a toast. "I used to think families had to look a certain way," she said, reading from index cards Victoria had helped her prepare. "A mom and a dad and kids. But then V came along and showed me that families are just people who love each other and show up. So thank you, V, for showing up, for loving us, for being the best mom ever." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. That night, after everyone left and Ava was asleep, Ethan and Victoria stood in the bookstore, alone. "We did it," Victoria said. "We did. Built a family, saved the store, got married. We checked all the boxes." "How does it feel?" She looked around at the space they'd created together, at the books lining the walls, the photos Ava had hung, the signs of life everywhere. "It feels like home," she said. "Good. Better than good? Perfect." "Even with all the chaos?" "Especially with the chaos." He pulled her close. "I love you, Mrs. Blake." "I love you too, Mr. Blake." They stood there holding each other, knowing that the road ahead wouldn't always be easy. There would be fights and challenges and moments of doubt, but they'd face it together, as a family. The one they'd chosen. The one they'd built from scratch. Years later, Ava would tell the story of how her parents met. How a lonely CEO walked into a struggling bookstore and found something she didn't know she was looking for. How a single dad took a chance on love when he thought he was done with it. How a little girl brought them together simply by being herself. But that night, none of them were thinking about the future. They were just there, in the moment, grateful for what they'd found. A home, not made of walls or blood, but of choice, of showing up, of love given freely and received with open hearts. And that, they all agreed, was more than enough. It was everything. Part 5, Louis. Viết 6.000 đến 6.500 từ liên kết liền mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện, pha hồi thoại tạo thành một câu liền mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước, không giới thiệu lại câu chuyện uyển ở đầu phần mới, liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch. Sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần. Duy trì chủ đề, tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột, không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng hoặc tiêu đề phụ. Phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ, Hoa Kỳ, giống văn giàu cảm xúc. Kể theo ngôi thứ 3, giữ đầu kịch tính không viết lan man, nhân vật không hoàn hảo, hội thoại tự nhiên, tránh ngôn ngữ văn chương sáo rơi và cụm từ AI điển hình. Viết như nhà văn chuyên nghiệp, không như AI cố gắng nghe sang. Có yếu tố con người, cầm miêu tả qua mượt mà và hoàn hảo. Phần 5 giải quyết hết vấn đề và kết thúc trọn vẹn câu chuyện không nhắc đến Chúa. Lưu ý trả lời trong mục tin nhắn không nhảy sang document. Tri dân bắt buộc, không được xuất hiện trong nội dung truyền. Đây là một câu chuyện điện ảnh hoàn toàn hư cấu được tạo ra chỉ nhằm mục đích giải trí. Không đề cập hay ngụ ý rằng nó dựa trên sự kiện có thật, người thật hoặc câu chuyện có thật. Không sử dụng các cụm từ như dựa trên một câu chuyện có thật, theo ghi chép hoặc bất cứ điều gì tương tự. Tất cả các nhân vật, địa điểm, tổ chức và sự kiện phải hoàn toàn hư cấu. Show More 1019, Part 5. The transformation of the bookstore took 3 months. Victoria threw herself into it with the same intensity she'd once reserved for board meetings. She hired contractors, consulted with designers, argued with Ethan about every detail. They fought about paint colors, shelf placement, whether to keep the old cash register or upgrade to something modern. It has character, Ethan insisted, gesturing at the ancient register. It has rust, Victoria countered. Same thing. It's not. They kept the register, but everything else changed. New shelves went up, solid oak instead of the wobbly particle board. The lighting got brighter without losing warmth. A proper coffee bar replaced the sad hot plate in the back. Victoria brought in a marketing consultant who made Ethan's head spin with talk of social media strategy and community engagement. I just want to sell books, he said after one particularly exhausting meeting. And you will, Victoria assured him, to 3 times as many people. What if they don't come? They'll come. She was right. The new bookstore, still called Blake's, because Victoria refused to let him change it, opened on a Saturday in late June. The line wrapped around the block. Ethan stood behind the counter, overwhelmed, watching people pour in. This is insane, he muttered. Victoria, managing the crowd with practiced ease, shot him a smile. This is what success looks like. I don't know what to do with this many people. Sell them books. That's literally your job. Ava darted between customers, handing out bookmarks she'd designed herself. Hand-drawn covers of her favorite books with Blake's Bookstore, written in careful letters at the bottom. People took them, charmed. By closing time, they'd sold more inventory in one day than Ethan usually moved in a month. He locked the door and leaned against it, exhausted and exhilarated and slightly terrified. We did it, he said to the empty store. Victoria emerged from the back office, still in business mode. We exceeded projections by 42%. In English? We crushed it. Ava poked her head out from behind the children's section. Does this mean we're not poor anymore? Ethan laughed despite himself. We were never poor, sweetheart. We were broke, Ava corrected. You said so. I said we were tight on money. That's different. Sounds the same to me. Victoria knelt down beside her. How about this? We're doing much better now, thanks to your dad's hard work and everyone who came today. And you, Ava added. You helped, too. We all helped. That's what families do. Ava beamed at the word families, then yawned so wide her jaw cracked. Time for bed, Ethan said. But I'm not tired. Yes, you are. No, I'm... Another yawn cut her off. They drove home in comfortable silence, Ava falling asleep in the back seat before they even hit the highway. Ethan carried her upstairs while Victoria grabbed their things from the car. When he came back down, she was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. You okay? He asked. Yeah, just thinking. About? About how different everything is. 6 months ago, I was working 80-hour weeks, eating takeout at my desk, sleeping 4 hours a night if I was lucky. And now I'm here, with you, with Ava, running a bookstore. Regretting it? She looked at him like he'd asked if the sky was green. Are you kidding? This is the happiest I've ever been. Even with all the chaos? Especially with the chaos. She patted the couch beside her. Come here. He sat, and she immediately leaned into him, fitting herself against his side like she'd been doing it for years instead of months. I have something to tell you, she said. His stomach dropped. Those words never led anywhere good. Okay. The board approved my restructuring proposal. I'm officially stepping down as CEO. He sat up so fast she nearly fell over. What? I'm staying on as chairman, strategic oversight, quarterly reviews, big picture stuff. But day-to-day operations go to Marcus Wen. He's been my VP for 6 years. He's ready. Victoria, you can't just... I already did. It's done. But that company is your life. It was my life, past tense. She took his hand. I don't want to be the person who works until she drops dead at her desk. I don't want to miss Ava's school plays because I'm in another board meeting. I don't want to choose between you and work every single day. So you chose us. I chose balance. I'm not walking away completely. I'm just making space for other things. Like what? Like this. Like us. Like maybe opening a second bookstore location. He blinked. You want to open another bookstore? Why not? This one's working. We have a model now. We could expand to the north side, maybe near the university, capture the student market. That's ambitious. I'm an ambitious person. You knew that when you met me. I did. I just didn't think you'd aim that ambition at used books. She grinned. New challenge. Besides, I like working with you. You balance me out, stop me from going full corporate tyrant. I don't think I stop you from anything. You do. You just don't notice. She kissed him, slow and sweet. So what do you think? Second location? I think we should get through the first month of this location before we start planning world domination. That's a yes then. That's a we'll see. I'll take it. They stayed up late that night talking about possibilities neither of them had dared imagine 6 months ago. About futures that suddenly felt within reach. About dreams that didn't seem crazy anymore. The next morning, Ethan woke to find Victoria's side of the bed empty. He found her in the kitchen, surrounded by construction paper, markers, glue, and what looked like the remains of several failed craft projects. What are you doing? She looked up, frustrated. Making something for Ava, for her birthday. Her birthday, 2 weeks away. Somehow it had snuck up on him in all the chaos of the store opening. What are you making? A book, a handmade book. He came closer, looking at the scattered pages. About what? Victoria's cheeks flushed. About us. About how we became a family. His chest went tight. Victoria, I know it's sentimental. I know it's not really my thing. But I wanted her to have something permanent. Something that shows her how much she means to me. How much this all means to me. He picked up one of the pages. A crude drawing of a woman in a tall building, looking out a window. The caption read, Once there was a lonely woman who had everything except what mattered most. You drew this? Don't make fun of me. I know I'm terrible at art. I'm not making fun. It's beautiful. It's objectively bad. It's from the heart. That makes it beautiful. She set down the marker she'd been holding. I've been working on it for 3 weeks. I keep redoing pages because they're not good enough, but nothing I make is going to be good enough. So I figured I'd just finish it. Give her something imperfect and real instead of nothing at all. He sat down beside her. She's going to love it. You think so? I know so. Victoria picked up another page, this one showing a stick figure man and child in a bookstore. This is you guys, the day we met. We look very stick-like. I told you I can't draw. You captured our essence. She laughed, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. Help me finish it? I can't draw either. Then we'll both be terrible together. They spent the morning working on the book, laughing at their combined artistic incompetence, creating something that would never win awards but meant everything. By lunch, they had a complete story, rough and imperfect and absolutely perfect. Now I just need to bind it, Victoria said, surveying their work. I know someone who does bookbinding. I can ask her. Really? Really? She owes me a favor. What kind of favor? I helped her find a first edition of her favorite novel. She cried when I gave it to her. Victoria smiled. You're good at this, at knowing what people need. Not always, but I try. She kissed him, marker-stained fingers tangling in his hair. I love you. I love you too. Even when I'm a disaster? Especially then. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. The bookstore stayed busy, requiring both of them there most days. Ava's birthday party got planned in stolen moments between customers. Victoria's handmade book got bound by Ethan's bookbinder friend, who declared it charmingly amateur and refused payment. The morning of Ava's 9th birthday, she burst into their room at 6 a.m. I'm 9, she announced, bouncing on the bed. Ethan groaned. Victoria pulled a pillow over her head. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Ethan managed. Can we celebrate in 2 more hours? No, it's my birthday. I've been 9 for 6 whole hours already. You were asleep for 6 whole hours. But I was still 9. Victoria emerged from under her pillow, hair everywhere, mascara smudged. Happy birthday, Ava. Thanks, V. Can we have cake for breakfast? No, Ethan and Victoria said in unison. Why not? Because you'll throw up, Victoria added. I won't. You will. Trust me on this. Ava pouted but accepted pancakes instead. They sang to her over breakfast, badly and off-key. She loved it. Can we go to the bookstore? She asked afterward. The party's not until 3, Ethan said. I know, but I want to go now. Just us. Ethan and Victoria exchanged looks. They'd planned to spend the morning setting up for the party, but Ava so rarely asked for things directly. Okay, Victoria said. Let's go to the bookstore. They spent the morning there, just the 3 of them. Ava showed Victoria all her favorite spots. The reading nook behind the mystery section, the window seat overlooking the street, the place behind the counter where she liked to draw during slow periods. This is where I come when I'm sad, Ava said, pointing to the nook. You come here when you're sad? Victoria knelt beside her. Yeah, books make me feel better. What makes you sad? Ava shrugged, suddenly shy. Sometimes I think about my mom, my first mom. The one who left? Victoria's expression softened. That makes sense. Do you think she thinks about me? I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe. Do you think she misses me? Victoria took a breath. I think anyone who walked away from you is missing out on something amazing, but I also think that's her loss, not yours. But what if I wasn't enough? What if that's why she left? No. Victoria's voice was firm. You listen to me. You are enough. You have always been enough. People leave for their own reasons, and those reasons are never about the people they leave behind. Your first mom left because something was broken in her, not in you. How do you know? Because I know you, and you're extraordinary. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I wish you were my real mom. Victoria's breath caught. Ava, I know you're not. I know you didn't give birth to me or whatever, but you're here. You showed up. You love me. That feels more real than someone who left. Victoria pulled her close, her own eyes wet. I do love you so much. Then why can't you be my mom? My real mom? Victoria looked at Ethan over Ava's head, helpless. He knelt beside them both. Ava, he said gently, what if V could be your real mom? Would you want that? Ava pulled back from Victoria, confused. What do you mean? I mean, what if we made it official, through adoption? Ava's eyes went wide. You can do that? We can, Victoria said, her voice shaking. If you want, I could legally become your mother. Really? Really? Would you be my mom forever? Forever. And you wouldn't leave? Victoria cupped her face. Never. I promise you, Ava. I will never leave you. Ava threw her arms around Victoria's neck so hard they both almost fell over. Yes, yes, I want that. Victoria was crying openly now, holding Ava like she was the most precious thing in the world, which, to her, she was. We'll start the process tomorrow, Ethan said, his own throat tight. It might take a while. There's paperwork and interviews, and I don't care how long it takes, Ava said, pulling back to look at Victoria. As long as it happens. It'll happen, Victoria promised. I'll make sure of it. They stayed there for a long time, the three of them tangled together on the floor of the bookstore, crying and laughing and holding each other. When they finally pulled apart, Ava's face was bright with joy. "This is the best birthday present ever," she said. "We haven't even had your party yet," Ethan pointed out. "I don't care. This is better than any party." Victoria wiped her eyes, smiling. "Speaking of presents, I have something else for you." She pulled out the handmade book from her bag. Ava's eyes widened. "You made this?" "I did, with help from your dad." Ava took it reverently, running her fingers over the cover. Victoria had titled it The Lonely Woman and the Bookstore. "Can I read it now?" "Of course." Ava opened to the first page. Victoria had drawn the woman in the tall building, looking out over the city. "Once there was a woman who had everything," Ava read aloud. "Money and success and a company that answered to her. But she was lonely. So lonely she'd forgotten what it felt like to not be alone." She turned the page. A man and small girl in a bookstore. And there was a man who had almost nothing, just a struggling bookstore and a daughter who was his whole world. He was lonely too, but he had love, and that made all the difference. Another page. The woman walking into the bookstore. One day the lonely woman walked into the bookstore. She didn't know why. She just felt pulled there, like something was waiting for her. When she saw the man and his daughter, something inside her cracked open. Ava kept reading, engrossed. The story unfolded across crude drawings and careful words. The hospital meeting, the cafe lunches, the park, the accident, the slow building of something neither adult had expected. The last page showed three figures holding hands standing in front of a bookstore. "And the woman learned that home isn't a place," Ava read, her voice thick with emotion. "It's people who show up. It's choosing love even when you're scared. It's becoming a family not by blood, but by choice." She looked up at Victoria, tears streaming down her face. "This is about us." "Yes." "You were the lonely woman?" "I was." "But you're not lonely anymore?" Victoria shook her head. "Not even a little bit." Ava launched herself at Victoria again, the book clutched carefully in one hand. "This is the best thing anyone's ever given me." Victoria held her tight, looking at Ethan over Ava's shoulder. He mouthed, "I love you," and she mouthed it back. The party that afternoon was beautiful chaos. Kids everywhere, cakes smashed into carpets, presents torn open with gleeful abandon. But Ava kept the handmade book close, showing it to anyone who would look. "My mom made this for me," she told her friend Sophie. "Victoria's not your mom," Sophie said matter-of-factly. "She will be. We're doing adoption." Sophie's eyes went wide. "Really?" "Really. That's so cool." Ethan heard the exchange from across the room, heard Ava call Victoria Mom for the first time without hesitation, saw Victoria freeze, then smile so wide her face must have hurt. After the party, after the guests left and Ava finally crashed from sugar overload, Victoria found Ethan cleaning up the living room. "She called me Mom," Victoria said. "I heard." Just like that, like it was the most natural thing in the world. To her it is. Victoria sat heavily on the couch, staring at the wrapping paper scattered across the floor. "What if I mess this up?" "You won't." "You don't know that." "I do, actually, because you care too much to mess it up." "Caring isn't enough." "I don't know how to be a mother, Ethan. I didn't have a good example. My mom died when I was 12, and my dad checked out emotionally after that. I don't know what I'm doing." He sat beside her. "Neither do I. I'm making it up as I go, same as you. But you're good at it. Some days. Other days I'm convinced I'm screwing her up in ways I won't even understand until she's in therapy at 30. Victoria laughed despite herself. "That's reassuring. My point is, nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just trying our best and hoping it's enough. And if it's not, then we adjust. We learn. We keep trying." He took her hand. "Victoria, you've already been parenting Ava for months. You're already doing it. The only thing changing is the paperwork. It feels like more than paperwork. It is more, but you're ready for it." She leaned against him. "I'm terrified." "Good. That means you're taking it seriously. What if she changes her mind? What if she decides she doesn't want me as her mom after all? That's not going to happen. But what if, Victoria, He turned her face toward him. Stop. She loves you. She wants this. And even if she has doubts later, which she won't, we'll work through them, together, as a family. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I never thought I'd have this. Neither did I. I'm glad I was wrong. Me too. They stayed on the couch long after they should have gone to bed, neither wanting to break the moment. Finally, Victoria stirred. I should probably start the adoption paperwork tomorrow. Probably. Do you know how to do that? Not even a little bit. Great. We'll figure it out together. Like everything else. She smiled. Yeah, like everything else. The adoption process turned out to be more complicated than either of them expected. Background checks, home visits, interviews, mountains of paperwork. Victoria attacked it with the same intensity she'd once brought to corporate acquisitions, but frustration crept in when bureaucracy moved at bureaucracy speed. They want another reference, she said one night, throwing papers onto the kitchen table. We've already provided 6. Then we'll get them 7, Ethan said calmly. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to adopt a child I already live with, already parent, already love. Why is this so hard? Because the system is designed to protect kids. I would never hurt her. They don't know that yet. They will. She deflated, the fight going out of her. What if they say no? They won't. But what if they do? Then we appeal, or we try again, or we find another way. He pulled her into his arms. One way or another, we're going to be a family, legally, officially, all of it. The home visit happened on a Tuesday. A social worker named Patricia Chen arrived with a clipboard and a kind but thorough demeanor. She interviewed them separately, together, then asked to speak with Ava alone. Ethan and Victoria waited in the kitchen, both tense. What if Ava says something wrong? Victoria whispered. There's no wrong thing to say. What if she tells them about the time I burned dinner so badly we had to open all the windows? That's not a disqualifying event. What if... Victoria, breathe. She tried. It didn't really help. After 20 minutes, Patricia emerged with Ava, both smiling. That was easy, Ava announced. She just asked if I was happy, and if V was nice to me, and if I wanted her to be my mom. And what did you say? Victoria asked, trying to sound casual. I said yes to all of it. Duh. Patricia smiled. Ava was very clear about her feelings. I have no concerns about this placement. Victoria's knees nearly gave out. Really? Really? I'll submit my recommendation to the court. Assuming everything continues smoothly, we should have a hearing date within the month. After Patricia left, Victoria sat on the couch and cried. Happy tears this time, but still tears. We're really doing this, she said. We really are, Ethan confirmed. Ava climbed into her lap. Why are you crying, V? Because I'm happy. Happy tears are weird. They really are. But I get it. I cry when I'm happy too. Victoria hugged her close. Thank you. For what? For wanting me. For choosing me. Ava pulled back, confused. You're the one who chose me. No, sweetheart. We chose each other. The hearing was set for a cold morning in early November. They dressed carefully, Ava in her favorite blue dress, Ethan in a suit he'd bought specifically for the occasion, Victoria in something professional but not intimidating. I'm nervous, Ava admitted in the car. Me too, Victoria said. What if the judge says no? The judge won't say no. But what if? Then we try again. Victoria reached back and squeezed her hand. But I really don't think that's going to happen. The courthouse was intimidating, all marble and echoing footsteps and people in suits rushing past. They found the right courtroom and sat in the hard wooden benches, waiting. When their case was called, they stood before Judge Elizabeth Martinez, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a reputation for caring deeply about children's welfare. She reviewed the paperwork in silence, read Patricia's report, then looked at Ava. Ava Blake? Yes, ma'am. Do you know why you're here today? For the adoption, so V can be my mom. And is that what you want? More than anything. Why? Ava thought about it. Because she shows up. When I'm sad or scared or happy or confused or anything, She's there. She reads me stories and helps with homework and makes bad pancakes and tells me when I'm being ridiculous. She loves me, I can tell. Judge Martinez's expression softened. That's a very good answer. She turned to Victoria. Ms. Hale, do you understand the commitment you're making today? Yes, Your Honor. This isn't temporary. This isn't conditional. Once this adoption is finalized, Ava is legally your daughter, forever. I understand, and that's exactly what I want. Why do you want to adopt Ava? Victoria looked at the girl sitting between her and Ethan, then back at the judge. Because she's already my daughter in every way that matters. Because I can't imagine my life without her. Because when I wake up in the morning, my first thought is making sure she's okay. And when I go to bed at night, my last thought is how lucky I am to have her. The only thing this adoption changes is making it official. Making sure the whole world knows what we've all known for months. We're a family. The judge nodded slowly. Mr. Blake, you consent to this adoption? Completely, Your Honor. And you understand Ms. Hale will have equal parental rights? I do. And I want that. Ava deserves two parents who love her, who show up for her, who choose her every single day. Judge Martinez made a note on her papers, then looked at all three of them. I've reviewed your case thoroughly. I've read Patricia Chen's report, which is glowing. I've seen the documentation of your home, your finances, your commitment to each other, and most importantly, I've heard from Ava herself. She paused, and Victoria's heart stopped. I see absolutely no reason to delay this adoption. Judge Martinez smiled. Petition granted. Ms. Hale, you are now Ava Blake's legal mother. Congratulations to all of you. The gavel came down. Ava screamed. Victoria burst into tears. Ethan pulled them both into his arms, and they stood there in the middle of the courtroom, holding each other, officially and legally a family. I'm your mom, Victoria kept saying. I'm really your mom. You were always my mom, Ava said matter-of-factly. Now it's just on paper. They celebrated with pizza, Ava's choice always, at their favorite place. The same booth they'd sat in dozens of times before, but different now. Everything was different. How does it feel? Ethan asked Victoria later after Ava had fallen asleep between them in the booth, exhausted from excitement. Like I finally understand what people mean when they say home. Good different or scary different? Both, but mostly good. He reached across the table and took her hand. I'm proud of you. For what? For taking the risk, for letting us in, for becoming this person. What person? Someone who fights for her family instead of running from it. She smiled. I learned from the best. They carried Ava to the car, both of them taking turns because neither wanted to let go. At home, they put her to bed together, tucking her in like they'd done hundreds of times. Love you, Mom, Ava mumbled, already half asleep. Victoria had to leave the room. Ethan found her in the hallway, crying quietly. You okay? She called me Mom. She's been calling you that. I know, but this is the first time it's legally true. She wiped her eyes. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous. You're being human. I'm not used to it. I've noticed. She laughed through her tears. What now? Now we keep doing what we've been doing. Show up, love each other, figure it out as we go. That's simple? That's simple. She leaned against him. I'm going to mess up. You know that, right? I'm going to forget permission slips and burn dinner and say the wrong thing at the wrong time. I know. And you're okay with that? Victoria, I mess up constantly. Last week I sent Ava to school in mismatched socks and didn't realize until parent pickup. We're all disasters here. The point is, we're disasters together. She smiled against his chest. I love you. I love you too. And I love this life we're building. Good, because it's just getting started. 2 months later, on a Sunday morning in January, Ethan woke to find Victoria's side of the bed empty again. This time, he found her in the living room, surrounded by wedding magazines. What are you doing? She looked up, sheepish. Planning. Planning what? Our wedding. If you still want to marry me, that is. He sat beside her. Are you proposing? I'm asking if you want to make this even more official than it already is. We live together. We're raising a daughter together. We run a business together. How much more official can we get? Married official. Legally bound official. In sickness and health official. He took the magazine from her hands. Are you asking me to marry you? I'm asking if you'd want to, hypothetically. Victoria. Yes? Stop being weird about this. I can't help it. I've never proposed before. Neither have I. So we're both terrible at this. Apparently, she took a breath. Ethan Blake, will you marry me? Yes. Just like that? Just like that. You don't want to think about it? I've been thinking about it for months. The answer is yes. She smiled, relieved and radiant. Okay then. Okay. We're getting married. We are. We're insane. Probably, but we're committed to our insanity. They told Ava at breakfast. She screamed so loud the neighbors banged on the wall. You're getting married? We are, Victoria confirmed. When? We haven't decided. Can I be in it? You're the most important part of it. Can I wear a fancy dress? The fanciest we can find. Ava did a victory lap around the kitchen. This is the best year ever. They set the date for April. Spring, new beginnings, all that symbolic stuff Victoria claimed not to care about, but clearly did. The guest list stayed small. Ethan's sister and her family. Diane from Victoria's office. A handful of friends. Ava, obviously, as maid of honor. I want to have it at the bookstore, Victoria said one night. Really? That's where we met, where everything started. It feels right. It's not very traditional. Good. I hate traditional. So they planned a bookstore wedding, chairs between the stacks, flowers on the counter, vows exchanged where they'd had their first real conversation. The day arrived faster than expected. Ethan woke to find Victoria already awake, staring at the ceiling. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. Of what? Of everything. Of nothing. Of how much I want this. That's not a bad thing. I know, but wanting things has always scared me, because wanting means you can lose. He rolled to face her. You're not going to lose this. Promise? Promise. She kissed him. Okay, let's get married. The ceremony was perfect in its imperfection. Ava forgot her lines halfway through her reading and made up new ones that made everyone laugh. The flowers wilted under the bookstore lights. Someone's kid knocked over a display of mystery novels during the vows. But when Ethan and Victoria stood facing each other, hands clasped, it all fell away. I promise to show up, Ethan said, every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I promise to let you in, Victoria said, to choose this, choose us, over everything else, always. I promise to love you when you're being impossible. I promise to be less impossible, sometimes. I promise to make you laugh. I promise to let you. They exchanged rings, simple bands they'd picked out together, kissed when the officiant told them to. Became husband and wife in the same place they'd first become friends. At the reception in the back room, Ava gave a toast she'd written herself. I used to think families looked a certain way, she read from index cards. A mom and a dad who started together. But then V came into our lives and showed me families can be anything. They can be people who choose each other, who show up for each other, who love each other even when it's scary. She looked at Victoria. Thanks for showing up, Mom. Thanks for choosing us. I'm really glad you walked into our bookstore that day. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. That night, after the guests left and Ava crashed from wedding cake overload, Ethan and Victoria stood in the bookstore alone. We did it, Victoria said, looking at her ring. We did. Built a family, saved the store, got married, checked all the boxes. She leaned against him. What now? Now we live, we mess up, we figure it out, we keep choosing each other. Sounds exhausting. Probably will be. Sounds perfect. Definitely will be. They stayed there, in the quiet bookstore, holding each other. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, they'd built something that would last. Years later, when Ava told the story of how her parents met, she'd talk about the lonely CEO and the struggling bookstore owner and the little girl who brought them together just by being herself. She'd talk about showing up and choosing love and building families from scratch. But that night, They weren't thinking about stories or futures or anything beyond the moment. They were just there. Three people who'd found each other against impossible odds. Who'd built something real from broken pieces, a family, not perfect, not traditional, but theirs. And that was everything.